Have you ever been so sure that someone would come back, only to realize they were never planning to? Have you ever thought that silence meant peace, that no news was good news until it wasn't? Let me ask you this. Have you ever hurt someone so deeply and convinced yourself they were over it just because they didn't fight you back? If any of those hit close to home, you might be dealing with a Virgo. Now here's the thing people miss all the time. Virgo doesn't do loud exits. They don't throw things. They don't shout. They don't burn bridges in front of an audience. They leave without sound, without warning. And at first, you don't even notice it. You're still living like they're there. You assume they're just taking space. But one day, it hits you. They're gone. Not just physically. Their energy gone. Their emotional investment done. And that's silence. It starts to echo. Virgos don't vanish because they're cold. They vanish because they've already processed everything, every word, every inconsistency, every red flag. You thought you were still building something together. They were already writing the ending. And the wildest part, you'll only realize it when everything around you starts to shift. People stop calling. Connections feel hollow. Opportunities slip. That's not coincidence. That's what it feels like when a Virgo removes their energy from your life. They weren't just a person. They were a blessing wrapped in loyalty, detail, care, and quiet strength. And when that's gone, you feel it in your bones. Here's what you have to understand. Virgo doesn't react to pain in ways most people do. They don't vent on social media. They don't round up sympathy from friends. They don't try to expose you. They internalize. They study. They observe your patterns. They replay what you said versus what you did. They track the subtle changes in your tone, your body language, your timing. And when they finally connect the dots, they don't lash out. They let go. I know that sounds simple, but it's not. Letting go, for a Virgo, is spiritual surgery. It's cutting the cord from someone they once loved with every fiber of their being. It's choosing peace over potential. It's realizing that maybe someday will never be enough to gamble their energy again. And you'll sit there wondering what happened. You'll say things like, "They never said anything. They never told me they were upset." But here's the truth. Virgo didn't go silent because they didn't care. They went silent because they cared too long, too deeply, for too little in return. I had a friend once, let's call her Maya. Total Virgo energy. She was dating someone who constantly brushed off her feelings, forgot her birthday twice, and dismissed every moment she opened up. She never yelled, never accused, but one day, she moved out. No warning. Left a note that said, "I'm not angry. I'm just done hoping you'll notice me." And that guy, he spiraled, not because she left, but because he finally saw who she was after she was already gone. That's what Virgo silence is. It's not absence. It's a verdict, a conclusion, a boundary drawn not with sharp words, but with absence that hums like a warning. And what's even deeper, Virgos don't just walk away from people. They walk away from energy that disturbs their balance. They protect their peace like it's sacred, because to them it is. So if a Virgo has ever gone silent on you, take a breath before you chase. Ask yourself what they observed, what they endured, what they internalized while you were assuming things were fine. Because once a Virgo decides that something isn't safe for their soul, they don't ask for permission to leave. They simply do. And once they do, there's no dramatic closure, no final confrontation. There's just distance and a quiet kind of grace that hurts more than any shouted goodbye ever could. If you're a Virgo hearing this, Know this: your silence isn't weakness. It's your wisdom. It's your strength. It's your final love letter to yourself. And maybe, just maybe, it's the beginning of your next chapter, one that no longer includes trying to earn what should have been freely given. You know what's strange? The moment a Virgo leaves your life, things start to shift, not in a dramatic, movie scene kind of way. It's slower, quieter, but make no mistake, it's real. One day, you're surrounded by noise, distractions, a full calendar, a sense that everything's fine. And then it starts. The silence creeps in. Not just their silence, but something deeper. Like the world isn't rooting for you the same way it used to. That's the Virgo effect. See, when you lose a Virgo, you don't just lose a person, you lose an energy field, a whole ecosystem that used to protect you, pray for you, defend your name when you weren't in the room, a presence that remembered your allergies, your favorite coffee, and that one time you needed help at 3 a.m. and didn't even have to ask. That's what walks out the door. Not just a human being, but a guardian. And what happens when that guardian energy disappears? Things start falling apart in ways you can't explain. You miss deadlines. Conversations feel off. That new relationship starts to crumble. You feel drained, confused, and unsure why life suddenly feels heavier. That's not coincidence. That's karma. Not in a spooky, punish you kind of way, but in a rebalancing. When someone gives pure love and you mishandle it, the universe takes note. And when that love is gone, the universe pulls back its blessings too. It's not about payback. It's about balance. I once spoke to a guy who said he didn't believe in karma until he hurt the Virgo who used to be the anchor in his life. After she left, nothing felt right anymore. He said it was like walking through life with no signal, like he was disconnected from something bigger. He didn't get struck by lightning. He just lost momentum, lost peace, lost clarity. That's what karma looks like sometimes. It's not fire, it's fog. People don't realize how deeply Virgo roots for you behind the scenes. They won't always shout it from the rooftops, but they'll light candles for you, send energy your way, even protect your name in rooms you don't even know about. So when that's gone, the ripple effect hits every layer of your life. Your friends stop showing up. Your wins don't feel as bright. The same life feels harder to live. And in your quietest moments, you'll wonder why everything feels off until it clicks. It was them. It was their presence. They were your quiet anchor. And now that it's gone, you feel the void. That's karma stepping in, not to punish, but to remind you, you lost something sacred. And here's another layer people rarely talk about. Virgos don't just walk away. They elevate. While your life starts to feel heavier, theirs becomes lighter. Not because they're celebrating your downfall, but because they've reclaimed their peace. And the contrast, it's undeniable. You see them posting a photo from a hike, smiling in a way you haven't seen in months. They pick up a new project, start working out again. Their skin looks clearer, their mind calmer. And you're there wondering how they're thriving while you're stuck. That's not luck. That's alignment. That's what happens when someone lets go of what was draining them. The Virgo wasn't your crutch. They were your mirror. They reflected your highest potential. And when you didn't rise to meet it, they left to protect their own. That realization, that's the real karma. It's not them getting even. It's you facing the part of yourself that failed to appreciate what was real. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So if you're in that fog right now and nothing feels like it used to, ask yourself, who did I take for granted? Who held me up when I didn't even notice I was falling? And more importantly, what will I do differently now that I finally see it? Because that's the thing about karma. It doesn't come to punish, it comes to teach. And the hardest lessons, they usually begin the moment a Virgo goes silent. Karma doesn't always show up in lightning bolts or thunderous consequences. Sometimes it's quiet, it's subtle, and yet it shakes your world from the inside out, especially when you've wronged someone who was pure, loyal, and steady like a Virgo. So let's talk about it. Let's walk through 7 signs that karma is slowly, but surely, returning the balance. Sign number 1: delays. Suddenly, things you used to do effortlessly feel hard. You're late to meetings, you miss deadlines, your motivation is nowhere to be found. It's like the universe put you in slow motion. That's karma. It's not blocking you to be cruel. It's forcing you to sit with what you've done. Sign number 2: disconnection. You find yourself surrounded by people but still feel alone. The conversations feel shallow. You laugh, but something inside you stays flat. That's because when you pushed away someone who saw you deeply, you lost the emotional depth they brought into your world. Sign number 3: repetition. Ever feel like the same problems keep showing up with different faces? That's karma looping the lesson until you get it. You may think you're starting fresh with someone new, but the arguments, the miscommunications, the emotional distance, all too familiar, and you wonder, why does this keep happening to me? Look closer, it's a mirror. Sign number 4: regret at random moments. You're driving, and a memory hits you out of nowhere. You're eating, and a smell takes you back. It's not just nostalgia. It's your soul asking for accountability. Because you never fully faced how you treated the one who only ever wanted to see you win. Sign number 5: energy drain. No matter how much you rest or take care of yourself, you're tired. You feel heavy. The joy feels muted. That's what happens when you carry unspoken guilt. Virgo might have forgiven you, but your spirit knows there's a truth you haven't made peace with. Sign number 6: you start seeing them glow up. They're thriving, quietly, authentically. They're not flaunting anything, but you see it. Their skin looks better. They're surrounded by new people. They laugh with their whole chest. And instead of being happy for them, you feel a pang. That sting. That's karma waking you up. It's reminding you of the value you overlooked. And finally, sign number 7, you lose your center. Things don't feel grounded. The same life, the same routines, they don't hold you like they used to. That's because you lost someone who helped anchor your chaos. Virgo was never just someone you dated or befriended. They were your rhythm, your regulation, and now you're offbeat. These signs don't come all at once. They sneak in, they build, and if you're feeling even 1 or 2 of these, don't ignore it. That's not bad luck. That's not the world being unfair. That's a divine checkpoint, a chance to pause and realign. Because the truth is, karma isn't about punishment. It's about teaching. It's about asking you, what will you do now that you know better? And if you're the Virgo, these signs aren't for you to say, I told you so. They're reminders that your energy mattered, that your presence had impact, that your exit wasn't just noticed, it was transformational. So whether you were the one who walked away or the one who got left behind, use these signs wisely. They're not the end. They're the beginning of real growth. People often assume that if someone doesn't fight back, they must be weak. But when it comes to Virgo, silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's growth. It's survival. Because while you were expecting a reaction, a meltdown, a scene, Virgo was already moving into transformation mode. When a Virgo gets hurt, they don't go online and post cryptic messages. They don't start gossip campaigns. They do something even more powerful. They get quiet and begin the work. The real work. The kind of work that doesn't show up immediately in selfies or status updates, but in long nights spent journaling, early mornings spent walking in nature, long drives with no destination, and 1,000 small decisions to stop reaching for people who never reached back. That's what healing looks like for them. It's quiet, it's sacred, and it's real. They rebuild not out of spite, but out of self-respect. They pick up pieces of themselves that they once gave away for free, and they start gluing them back together, not in the same old pattern, but in something new, something stronger, something unshakably theirs. And while the world might not see it yet, they know, deep down, they know they're not the same person anymore. The pain didn't destroy them, it refined them. That's not revenge, that's evolution. See, when Virgo levels up, they don't look back to see who noticed. They're not here for applause, they're here for alignment. And alignment doesn't require an audience, it just requires truth. Now let's talk about something else, something most people underestimate until it's too late. Virgo's words. Not a lot of them, not loud, but when they do speak, it cuts through everything. No screaming, no cursing, just one line, maybe two, and suddenly, the room is silent. That's the precision they carry. They've replayed the moment in their mind 100 times. They've stripped away emotion, and what's left is a truth so sharp, so clean, it stings long after the conversation ends. You'll remember what they said, where they said it, how the air felt when it hit you, and you'll go over it in your head again and again because you know it was real. It was accurate. It was the thing you refused to see, served to you without sugar, without softness. That's the Virgo gift, the ability to say something that doesn't destroy you but makes you confront yourself. It could be as simple as, I don't trust your words anymore. Or you say a lot, but your actions never show up. And suddenly, your whole defense system falls apart. Because deep down, you know they're not trying to hurt you. They're trying to help you wake up. And here's what's even deeper. Virgo doesn't weaponize these moments. They don't repeat it to others. They don't brag about the last word. Because for them, the truth was never about winning. It was about release. They don't want to hold the pain anymore. They want to hand it back, not with anger, but with clarity, with grace. And that's what makes it unforgettable. Their words stay, not loud, but lasting. And by the time you realize it, they'll be long gone. Not bitter, not broken, but whole. And you'll be left with silence. The kind of silence that doesn't ask for anything. It just reminds you of what you lost. So if you're listening to this and feeling that silence, don't rush past it. Sit with it. Let it teach you. Let it guide you back to the part of you that forgot how to value what was real. Because Virgo doesn't just disappear, they ascend. You want to know what else Virgo does after the silence? They begin protecting their time like it's gold. They start saying no to things they used to tolerate. Not out of pride, but out of healing. They used to bend until they broke. Now, they pause. They think. They check in with their spirit before they say yes to anything. They'll tell you they're busy, and they mean it. But not with chaos, with clarity. They're filling their days with meaningful actions, reading books that nourish their mind, tending to their body, praying, meditating, maybe even finally pursuing that creative dream they kept on hold for years. And they're doing it without needing validation. They stop showing up for people who never clapped for them. They stop initiating conversations that never got returned. They stop explaining themselves to those committed to misunderstanding them. That's growth. That's Virgo's quiet comeback. And people around them, they start noticing. The ones who once ignored their needs now feel the shift. Because Virgo doesn't announce their upgrade, they become it. They become the calmest person in the room. The one with eyes that say, I've seen some things, but I'm still choosing peace. I'm still choosing. And that glow, it's not makeup. It's not a filter. It's the lightness that comes when you finally drop what was never yours to carry. When a Virgo walks away, it's not a dramatic exit. There's no slamming doors, no fireworks, no long emotional goodbyes. It's a quiet moment that feels like any other, until later, when the silence becomes permanent. And by the time you notice, They're already gone. Not just physically, but emotionally, energetically, spiritually. You might think they disappeared overnight, but the truth is, they were leaving for a long time. They just didn't say it out loud. That's because Virgo doesn't walk away out of hate. They walk away out of love for themselves, after giving chance after chance, after speaking softly and hoping you'd listen, after shrinking their needs to make room for yours. They finally decide to choose themselves. And it's not a revenge move. It's a recovery. You see, Virgo doesn't give up easily. They're loyal to a fault. They'll try, and try, and try again. They'll adjust their tone, their schedule, their expectations, all in the hope that the relationship, the friendship, the dynamic can be saved. But when they realize that no amount of giving will ever be enough, they shift, not in anger, in acceptance. And that shift, that's when they stop waiting, stop hoping, stop compromising who they are for the sake of someone who never saw them clearly to begin with. One of the hardest pills to swallow is this. You didn't lose Virgo because you made one mistake. You lost them because they saw a pattern and decided to break it before it broke them. They're not punishing you by leaving. They're protecting the version of themselves they've worked so hard to rebuild. The version that knows peace is better than pretending. The version that understands love shouldn't feel like walking on eggshells. And while you may think there's still a door open, here's the reality. Virgo's smile doesn't mean access. Their politeness doesn't mean invitation. Their silence doesn't mean forgiveness. It just means they've said what they needed to say to themselves. If you ever had a Virgo in your corner, you know what that feels like. They showed up without being asked. They noticed the small things. They made life easier, softer, more thoughtful. And when that disappears, there's a hole you can't quite fill. Not because they were perfect, but because they were intentional. Now, let's talk about closure. Most people wait for it in the form of a conversation. A long, heartfelt discussion. A moment of clarity. But with Virgo, closure isn't something they owe you. It's something they claim for themselves. They don't need to rehash everything. They've already lived it 100 times in their mind. They've cried in private, written letters they never sent, played back every moment. And once they reach peace within, the chapter closes not with punctuation, but with presence, or rather the lack of it. You won't always get the big goodbye. Sometimes, your sign is the missed birthday call, the unanswered text, the empty chair at the place they always sat. That's the Virgo way. They let their absence do the talking. And trust me, the universe listens to that kind of silence. It echoes, not to hurt you, but to show you what you took for granted. So what do you do with that echo? You reflect. You ask yourself the hard questions. You get honest, not for them, but for yourself. Because if you don't learn the lesson, you'll repeat it with someone else, in another form, under another name. But if you are the Virgo, let me say this clearly. You don't need to feel guilty for choosing peace. You don't need to apologize for outgrowing pain. Walking away was your revolution, your healing, your soft, sacred rebellion against anything that made you feel like too much or not enough. And now you are rising, because the Virgo path isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Right for trusting your intuition. Right for recognizing your value. Right for leaving behind what couldn't meet you where you stood. The silence you chose, that was your final act of self-love. And now comes the moment we've been building toward the karmic full circle. All that energy you gave out, the love, the effort, the intention, it's not lost. It's been circling back, quietly, powerfully. And when it returns, it won't look like revenge. It'll look like recognition. It'll look like opportunities that align with your worth. People who see you clearly. A sense of joy that doesn't depend on someone else's validation. That's what's coming. So, if you've been wondering why you felt led to this message today, this is it. The universe wanted you to remember who you are, not someone's fixer, not someone's second choice, not someone's emotional support system when it's convenient. You are the center of your own healing, and from that center, everything changes. Comment if this hit you. Not to explain yourself, but to honor where you are. Say it with me: I don't chase. I align. I don't beg. I bloom. I don't shrink. I rise. The next chapter of your life, it's already opening. And Virgo, this time it's about you. And here's something else to remember when Virgo walks away. They don't just leave behind someone else's chaos. They walk straight into their own clarity. They start creating spaces that feel safe, that reflect who they are now. They clear their room. They detox their phone list. They reimagine what love and friendship should actually feel like. It's not just a breakup or a goodbye. It's a full life renovation. And in that renovation, they discover something powerful they were never asking for too much. They were just asking the wrong person. That realization alone can shift an entire life path. Suddenly, they're no longer watering deserts. They're planting seeds in places that actually grow. And the people who enter their life now, they feel different, more aligned, more present, because Virgo has changed. And what they attract reflects that. So don't be surprised when you see them winning quietly. They're not trying to prove anything. They're just living in truth. And when you live in truth, karma doesn't punish you, it protects you. But here's the part no one talks about: the moment right before the miracle. It's the day you question everything. When the silence feels unbearable. When you wonder if walking away was the right choice. When your heart aches not from missing them, but from missing who you were before they hurt you. That moment, that's the final test. Because right after that comes the shift. You start waking up with clarity instead of confusion. You start choosing joy instead of people-pleasing. You walk into rooms and no longer shrink. You speak your truth without shaking. And slowly, something changes. Life begins to match your energy. The right people show up, the right doors open. And what once felt like a breakdown reveals itself as a breakthrough. That's what the universe was waiting for. Not your tears, not your apologies, but your becoming. Because when Virgo chooses themselves fully, unapologetically, that's when karma stops whispering and starts celebrating.